Okay, so here's how this, should we call it a fixture or protractor, whatever you want to call it, that allows you to pick out elbows, angles of elbows that you're taking out of this J-bend. In other words, you got 180 degrees bent in this pipe, and it's the same shape all the way around. That's the idea of the mandrel bend. So this allows you to pick 30 degrees out of that, 45 degrees out of that, 50, anything you want. And what Scott's done here is created a...
Sorry, did I get right?
Created a protractor so that you can determine that. He's got the radius built into the center of it.
Right.
And all the angles, see, he's got 90 degrees here on the end, and it goes over to, again, to 90 degrees here, right?
Yeah, they're 5 degree increments.
So
I basically just took this.
Okay, extended it out.
Right.
Took that with all the angles on it and extended the angles out, extended the lines. Right. So you got 180 degrees total on the J-bend. So now he wants to make two 45-degree elbows.
So what I'm going to do is...
For the offset he's creating.
In order to maximize
the pipe?
The U-bend and the pipe, since I need two 45s, what I'll do is...
Start at 90 on both ends?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll cut this whole thing into pieces so that I'll end up with two 45s here and a 45 with a piece on each end here, which kind of maximizes the material and minimizes the welds, hopefully.
Now hold on, you said a 45. When you cut this here, that's going to give you a 90.
Right. And then I'll cut it here. No, excuse me. I'll cut it on 45 and 45.
There you go, okay.
So I end up with a 45 with a tangent and a 45 with a tangent. And then two 45s.
Right.
And I'm hopefully maximizing this U-bend.
Unless you need more than 45 someplace.
Right, and then along the way I come up with
You end up with odds and ends, yeah, right.
Right, so
there's 90 that he's marking right now. He already marked 90 on the two legs.
And then I've got...
And he's going to go 45 now in the middle.
And 45 again. It's sort of primitive, but...
It's better than nothing, way better than nothing. Guessing.
You could buy, there's a bunch of different variables. You can buy all this stuff, which is great, but it gets kind of pricey when you're, if you have different centerline radius J-bends, then you got to buy different fixtures. And
right.
For a one-time exhaust system, you could spend a whole bunch of money.
Well, that's the thing. It's worth it if you're a shop going to do this over and over again, but it's not worth it if you're us going to do it 2 times here and maybe never again.
I don't normally recommend against tools, but the way things are, the way the cost of things is going up lately, it's like you can't afford to.
So you see what he just did there? He flipped it over so he could mark the other side of the pipe. And you'll see the reason for that shortly. You obviously want to make these cuts as square across the pipe as you can, otherwise your angles are going to be wrong.
Well, and that's the other thing. I have a bandsaw, like a fixed bandsaw, but it's at my house.
Right. So he's using a porta bandsaw here, like a skill saw compared to a table saw. All right, so now he's got marks on both sides of the pipe at 90 degrees, at 45 degrees, and again at 90 degrees over here. So
basically 45 degrees.
You see that O-ring? Watch what happens with that O-ring.
It's a little small.
That's good because it stays tight that way.
I need to get a larger O-ring.
Well, it's good and it's bad. It's harder to use, but it's nice and tight and stable once it's in place. So he uses the O-ring to generate a straight line across the pipe.
Which is a little artistic sometimes.
Not that straight, in other words, you got to eyeball it.
Well, because when you roll it, to get it on here, you roll it.
Yeah, it can get crooked, yeah.
And it gets goofy.
Wiggly.
Right, so you got to kind of play around until you get it where you want it.
Now, on the straight pipe, you can use, what do you call that device?
Actually, I'm not cutting it here. What am I doing?
on the straight piece of pipe, you can use the wraparound, right? The thing the pipe fitters
Yes,
use.
correct.
But obviously the wraparound isn't going to work. A wraparound is a flat piece of, like you might call it heavy tape. You know, it comes in a roll.
It's like fiber. It's
Like
gasket.
tape. Yeah, and it's thick. It's thick, so you can mark against it. You can use it as a straight edge. I'll show you. Hang on a second. It's a pipe fitter's tool.
This is a piece of a wraparound.
That's a piece of a wraparound. It's also got a whole bunch of good information on the outside of it.
This is just a small
If you
section.
go to the trouble.
So this edge is a factory cut edge. So basically what you do is you put it on your pipe and you, sorry,
And you line up the
I
edge.
moved too fast. Yeah, you tighten it around the pipe and you make sure that this is lined up.
And there's your straight line.
That's a straight line.
So you mark that. You mark your pipe using that as a guide.
Yep.
So you can do that on the straight section, but obviously it ain't going to work on an elbow.
No.
Jesus, we're 6 minutes into this.
Yeah, sorry. This is
No, I'm just saying it's amazing,
This is a
and you
whole-
can't fast forward this because this is where all the information is.
This is a whole video. I got to get a better O-ring.
All right. So anyway, you see what's going to happen once he gets this in place. He's going to use it to make a line on the pipe.
I think you
It's a guide to make a line.
you
on
probably want to just show this after I'm done because this one is going
Yeah,
very poorly.
I might edit this and shorten it. I might leave it.
Yeah. But you basically just eyeball it. Like that's nice and straight now.
There you go. Here, let me zoom. There you go. So now he's just going to run the marker or the pen or the pencil along that O-ring, and that'll give him a nice straight line to try to cut.
Yeah, the cutting's not so bad. Then you just true it up on the sander
Right.
and you're good.
All right. So anyway, that's how you end up with the angles. Now, what he's also done is calculated. Here's his scratch pad here.
Right.
Is calculated the short piece he needs to put between those two angles to get the amount of offset he's looking for between his two pipes. And that's more
There you go.
science. Where are you? Oh, that's more science. That's going to take a long time to explain. Yeah, that's cool. There's the line he made. Okay, so here's his cuts. This will give him two 45-degree elbows out of this J-bend. And he's still going to have a tail, the straight over here, and a tail, the longer straight over here, with a 45-degree elbow on the end of that tail. Okay?
I must have forgotten how to weld.
Sorry?
I must have forgotten how to weld.
Oh, really? Making these pieces. There's the one from the header collector into the muffler. There's the other one from the header collector to the muffler. And there they go. I showed you already out the back side of the muffler, ready to go over the top. So that'll be next.
Give us some explain here.
So I was trying to figure out how to place the supports. I'm going to put a support from here, the cross member, to the exhaust.
Okay.
And on the round tubing, it's sort of difficult to figure out centers, you know, the same on both sides. So I clamped this flat stock across the two cross member
Oh, I
tubes,
see.
and I came up with some parallels.
To get you to the middle of the tubing?
Yeah, it's not the middle. I'm a little bit lower because I have to put the lower support on here, the bushing.
Oh, I see. For
and
the
then-
height you need at the pipe.
Yeah, so I don't want to be too high on the pipe. I'm kind
Yeah.
of trying to split the difference. But anyway, I just did this, and then I marked it with a felt pen, and then obviously switch it over to the same side, and I kind of can't screw that up.
Okay. So that gives
It's
you a
gonna-
height on the cross member.
It's going to give me the same location on each side.
Of the center cross member.
You can see there for the
Yeah, there's his
support.
layout right there. No, I'm sorry. I'm hitting the wrong button again. Go ahead. I got about 6 little videos
I just took the square and I'm going from the joint in the pipe here.
Oh, now you're going forward and back.
Now I'm locating.
All right.
I did the same on that side.
And that's the two vertical lines on that.
Right, it just gives me an idea where I'm at. The strap that I'm using is 1.5 inches wide.
Okay.
So I'll probably favor the front line with it just to give myself some room here.
Okay.
But I checked off the muffler to this mark and did the same, and it's, not that it matters, but it's just an indicator along the way.
It's really close.
It's the same.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, because when you put them in here, the mufflers in here, you didn't just lay them up there, you measured.
no, I try to put everything the same, you know, as much as I can,
yeah.
and then try and stay with that idea.
Okay. So I guess start making your stuff and we'll come back and
Yeah.
see how it progresses. Okay, so while I was busy getting ready to glue shit, Scott was busy too. There's his hanger for the exhaust on the driver's side and his hanger for the exhaust on the passenger side. You see the little gusset brace he put underneath, because these are a little longer than the ones in the back. But guess what? He's going to put them there too now. So they match. Go figure. See you later. Bye. Okay, well here we are back under the time machine. Trying to build this last pipe and put the ends on the part that turns the exhaust down. Put the ends on both pipes. And obviously put two hangers back here. The last thing to do is two hangers back here at the end of these two pipes. So right now he's got this one started up over the differential. There you see the end of it right there. And trying to create the rest of that. So here we go. Okay, so we're doing the next cut here. Same like we did the last time, another 45-degree angle. Scott likes 45-degree bends.
Just try and keep it consistent. 45, 22.
30.
Yeah, just simple.
30's the easy one, if you can use 30s, because the multiplier for the piece between the two bends is 2. It's an easy one to figure. If you want a 4-inch offset between two 30-degree bends, you put an 8-inch straight piece.
You got to deduct centers.
Well, that's center to center, yeah,
I mean,
on the two bends.
Don't forget, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So electricians don't do that because we don't use centers. We go back to back. In other words, the piece of the side of the pipe on the floor and the bottom of the pipe you raise is the dimension.
This is a funny argument that we always have.
I know, it is.
The same but different.
But that's how we bend pipe. We bend pipe from the back side of the pipe, not to the center of the pipe. It kind of amounts to the same things. Like I say, we're measuring from the floor to the bottom of the pipe, which amounts to center.
It's just point of reference. It's all
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
The only difference is we aren't trying to calculate where the center of the pipe is. We're just measuring from the edge of the pipe. It's really easy to measure.
Is a shop ever big? Oh, this shop is too big.
Yeah, well, that's for people that never use a shop like this. That's what they say. That's what I'm trying. All right, I don't need to film all of this. I got a long video, I think. You see where we're headed right here. Making that piece that comes down to that elbow. Right there. And that's the elbow that he's playing right there. Tack the straight piece on the end of it to hold it, and that's the elbow. For the bottom of that piece that's coming down. Marks on the piece of pipe coming down. The bottom slash translates to the bottom of the frame, the level of the bottom of the frame. And the upper mark The where it crosses is the center of the 45-degree elbow. This is intended to locate where the pipe needs to cut. So we'll see how that works.
It's a compound angle though, so it's a
Right.
little
It's
complicated.
not going to be exact because it's coming down at a 45 and it also needs to go sideways a bit.
There's definitely
So,
some.
like you said, it's a
guesstimation.
compound. It's not a straight pipe. It's got a compound angle. Passenger side piece that goes over the rear end. He's about ready to cut that part coming down now to line up with the bottom of the frame.
Let's be hopeful.
Okay, we closed a little gap there between those two pipes. That's a compound angle we were talking about a minute ago. So there's the passenger side tailpipe. I might have to go hold it. You need somebody to hold it?
No.
Doing a few more tacks on the latest additions, elbows, changes, whatever you want to call it. You see what we're doing here? We put supports from the rear end down to the floor, so we could remove the struts that were holding the rear end up in place of the coilovers to lower the rear end so we could get these tailpipes out. This one is the passenger side tailpipe. You get that in here. And he's going to put the end on. See the end like this end up here that points the exhaust down? He's got one of those to put on the passenger side, the one that's in his hand there. And that's what he's up to right now. Later. This is where that tail piece needs to get cut off to put the last piece on there that points the gas down.
Points the gas down.
Exhaust gas.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well that's about it for today. So you can see right at this point the drive shaft showed up. Where'd you order this drive shaft? Somewhere in New York?
Denny's drive shafts. Yeah, New York.
New York. Denny's drive shafts. Aluminum drive shaft.
Call it a 1350 series. It's like heavy duty.
Okay, yeah, it is heavy duty pretty much. It's 4-inch diameter or something like that?
3.5.
Okay, 3.5-inch diameter aluminum. But nice piece.
Chromoly Sunax yoke. And 1350 Spicer greaseless U-joints.
Okay. And you see here the tailpipes, I guess I would call them, are finally created. And in there Scott has one more mount to put back here on this end, on both sides. You see the elbows on the ends are turning the exhaust down. That's tacked. So obviously it's all fabricated. It all has to get welded, complete welded. But, and you see there's nice amount of clearance going over the rear end here on both sides.
Get kind of a look from the bottom up where you can see the whole shooting match from down low, you know.
Let's see what I can see from down low. Ooh. His old knees don't like to do that. Like that, I guess he's talking about, huh? There's the mufflers. There's the collectors on the headers. Goes up over the rear end where all the rest of that tubing, there's about a forest worth of tubing in here between suspension, sway bar, exhaust, fuel tank mounts, center cross members. There's all kinds of tubing in here. Like I said, there's a forest worth of tubing in here, but it's done. It's fabricated at least. So anyway, it mounts tomorrow hopefully, and the exhaust system on this one is fabricated. Well, here's the last two brackets to hold up the tailpipes. You see they're tiny little guys. And what are you doing there? You're making something that hangs down at an angle?
Yeah, so these will weld onto the side of the pipe,
Right?
and then this will go up to the cross member and get fish mouthed.
The rear cross member? No.
The rear tank cross member.
Okay, I see. Okay.
The 1.25" tube.
Right. You got a lot of tubes to pick from in there.
Right. So I'm making these L-shaped pieces, and then I'll hole saw half a hole.
To make a fish mouth design. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is the last clip I'm waiting for in order to finish this video. I got about 18 minutes worth of video right now. I don't think I'd call this fabricating.
What would you call it?
Something way beyond that. I don't know.
It's fabricating to me.
I know. This is a little hanger, a bracket to hang the rearmost part of the exhaust, the tailpipe.
It's gonna eventually, it'll
Right.
be dog
You're going
bone.
to cut that hole in half
Right.
and weld it to a piece of tubing. Right. So like I say, most people would just take a piece of flat stock and make a bracket out of it and put the two grommets on there.
I don't argue that.
If they even used one of those, they'd buy one that you could buy with the little rod sticking out of it that you cut and weld to something. Done.
That's the popular thing. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. This is way more than fabricating. It's kind of art, you know. Anyway. Okay, so 4 hours later, or whatever, there's a mount. It's not welded yet, but it's all, you can see it's all fabricated and held up with the magnet right now. And then there's the duplicate of that right there.
You'll probably get a gusset on the back side where the magnet is too.
I see. Okay, so like I say, most people, that's way more than fabrication in my mind. Most people would have been happy to use one of these.
And they should be.
And that would have taken about 30 minutes,
Each side?
maybe.
Total?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
And it's not like we don't have them, but this is not that kind of project.
Yeah, I mean, whoever finishes this car, they're getting a really good start.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like, you know, I don't want to say anymore because it sounds like I'm boasting.